Hi there, and welcome to Bowers Law MD, where I discuss my journey through law school while juggling a family, two kids, and a full-time job. Just want to emphasize this is the first video I'm doing here that I'm not a lawyer. I'm a law student at the University of Baltimore School of Law. Anything that I say in any of these videos on this site are not to be construed as legal advice, and at any time, anything that I discuss is pertaining to a case that usually that we're discussing in class that by the time that you see this video or by the time that I read something else further in the course material may have changed, may have been overturned, and may not at the time be accurate. But I'm not going to take any of these videos down. I'm just going to leave them up. So keep that in mind. The law is fluid. It's constantly changing. There are always future decisions that overturn previous decisions. But what we're doing is looking at the law as it progresses. So today what I want to talk about is a topic from Civil Procedure 2, and not particularly any specific cases in this video, but just a general concept to clear up what sometimes seems to be confusing for people from what I'm gathering as far as civil procedure is concerned. And that being what the scope of what we're studying in this course is. And a lot of times these cases that we look at have nothing to do with the merits of the cases themselves, but some sort of a procedural issue. And one of the first things that we've been talking about in the class so far have been jurisdiction, and whether or not right now what we're talking about being personal jurisdiction, whether or not a specific state's court will have control over a case or over, more importantly, a defendant or another party in the legal proceeding. So some of the cases that we've looked at were Penoyer v. Neff, International Shoe v. Washington, and it's important to note that, as I mentioned, the merits of the case themselves aren't even being discussed. Like, for example, International Shoe is a case that involves whether or not the company should be paying unemployment benefits to the state of Washington. The issue that we study and what that case is landmark for is whether or not the Washington court has jurisdiction over International Shoe. It has nothing to do, nor do we even know whether or not International Shoe won or whether or not the state of Washington won ultimately as it proceeded. But what we do learn is whether or not that venue, that jurisdiction, is appropriate for that case. And like I said, I don't want to talk about specific cases outside of that here, but I do want to talk generally about the issue of jurisdiction and why it's important in court proceedings, because the venue that case is heard in may have a significant impact on the outcome. And a lot of times, from what I understand looking ahead, what we're going to talk about in this class and a lot of these cases involving jurisdiction are parties trying to venue or forum shop, getting the case in front of a court that's going to be most favorable to them, even though they may be kind of backing around or backing into that jurisdiction. For example, I work for a personal injury law firm in Baltimore, but we handle cases throughout the state of Maryland. And when we are at the point in a case where we are filing suit in a specific matter, the jurisdiction that we file the case in is very important. And this is a case that's being potentially litigated in the state of Maryland, but there are differences between one county and another county as far as a jury pool is concerned, and whether or not we're going to have a more plaintiff-friendly jury or a more defendant-friendly jury. And obviously, as a plaintiff's firm, we want our case being tried and at least filed in the more plaintiff-friendly jurisdictions, because we feel that we're not only going to get a more favorable outcome as far as liability is concerned, but more money in the case. And a lot of times with tort cases, well, anytime with tort cases, we're talking about money. It's not about getting the satisfaction of winning. It's about making money, getting your client satisfied, and making money for the law firm itself. So as we journey through Civil Procedure 2, at least the first portion of it, as we talk about personal jurisdiction and talk about subject matter jurisdiction. It's about the fight over whether or not this venue, this court, can even proceed with the case. And it's important to note that these cases, after they go through, if they get remanded back to the court in that state, the facts are to be heard by a jury, and what happens ultimately, we don't know. Sometimes you can do some digging and some research and find out, but at least in the course material, we typically don't find out what the overall result is. So tune in for more, and we'll be discussing a couple of cases that start to set the stage for the minimum context test that is first brought about in the international shoe case. So thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon.